Good afternoon, Excellence. First of all, I would like to know how do you see Pakistan and Denmark relations?
Pakistan and Danish relations are at a very good state. We have been cooperating in many fields. We have been expanding our cooperation for a long time. We have a diplomatic visa waiver going both ways. We have just this year had our first political consultations with Pakistan. So basically I see our relations in an upward curve. I mean, we are engaging together with Pakistan. We will be a partner with Pakistan in its development process towards a more prosperous and a more prosperous country, a more prosperous place to live, and a stronger economic partner in the future.
And which areas you are dealing with Pakistan? Which sectors especially you are dealing with?
Right now, I mean, we are focusing our cooperation much on trade. So we are trying to make our contribution to enhancing the trade of Pakistan with the world outside, in our case obviously with Denmark. And we are working try to establish partnerships between Pakistani and Danish companies. For Pakistani companies, it's has been a big challenge to access the global markets because they've been off the global markets for such a long time. Pakistani exports are very much dependent on very few goods, in particular cotton, which means that exports will fluctuate every year according to the cotton price. Obviously for Pakistan, you need to improve exports and diversify exports and have export that is value added, because that is what the global markets want. So I think we can help there. We can establish business-to-business cooperation between Pakistani and Danish companies, and through that Pakistani companies can better access the markets outside of Pakistan, which is very important for the economic future of Pakistan.
And what is the trade volume of between two countries right now?
It's moving into the $500 million mark.
Okay.
We have seen a very good increase over the last year, about 40% increase. We hope to keep that increase growing, so that our volume of trade between the two countries rise even more. Right now it is mainly to the benefit of Pakistan, in the sense that Pakistan exports a lot to Denmark, but any business cooperation really is of value to Pakistan at this point in time, because it can help Pakistan access global markets through better quality production, to having a partner that can help them access the global markets, or through making new and interesting products that would have a better chance of going onto the global markets.
So Excellency, how do you see the current situation in Pakistan?
The current situation, I think,
in
is
respect of peace and harmony.
Well, we've seen a very good stabilization of the security situation. Clearly, there was a bad time some years ago in the war against terror. Now we see a situation where the security situation in the major cities have stabilized. There's been a significant reduction in the number of terrorist attacks. There's been a significant improvement in the security situation in the main cities and business centers in the main provinces. There are some difficulties still, obviously, but they are being handled. But right now the situation is improved. On the security side, we also see a positive development on the economic side. Pakistan has good growth rates, 5 to 6% annual growth rates, which is quite an important growth rate and quite an achievement for Pakistan to have reached this. Obviously, there are still challenges. The growth is driven by a growth in the internal markets in Pakistan, but that growth also has to be financed through extra exports, and improving exports, I think, is the biggest challenge for Pakistan in the immediate future.
And how do you see the Danish are looking ties between Pakistan, and what are the targets you have established in?
We are looking to deepening the ties, in particular in the business area. We are looking to within a couple of years' time hit the 1 billion mark of economic interaction between our two countries. So both in business, but also in culture and on a government-to-government level, we want to deepen engagement with Pakistan. We want to make it a win-win, obviously, situation for both sides, economically, culturally, and by way of government-to-government relations. And I think we are moving in the right direction on all these parts.
And Excellency, what will be the EU position in general, especially as a Danish representative in Pakistan, as Washington prevails upon the IMF and the World Bank is not cooperating with Pakistan after the FATF action against Pakistan?
Well, now we are in a situation that Pakistan will be responding to the challenges by FATF, basically on how to curb the financing of terrorist organizations. Pakistan is right now handing in a plan how to work on these issues. That plan will be dealt with in FATF, and we will see how they come out. This is an important time because Pakistan has the next month or so to present something for the FATF to show that it can do something effective against the financing of terrorist organizations. Obviously, the whole purpose of stopping financing of terrorist organizations is one that is shared by most countries of the world. It is shared by all EU members. It is shared by EU. It is not something that anybody puts pressure on. The idea basically is that we have a common goal to stop terror in the world. We have a common goal of stopping financing for terror, because that is what makes terror possible. And that's why we also have a common goal with Pakistan to arrive at a point where there is an action plan that can deal with these issues in an effective way.
Excellency, EU countries has always been supporting Pakistan in terms of, as they have granted GSP plus status to Pakistan, and since then Pakistan trade volume with EU countries improving. And how do you see that Pakistan and Danish relation in this cooperation, especially after the GSP plus status, and obviously you are supporting GSP plus?
Obviously, I mean, from the EU side, we are a great supporter of the GSP Plus with Pakistan. GSP Plus is very important for Pakistan. The EU is the main export market for Pakistan. No other place in the world is as important for Pakistan when we talk about exports. And the biggest economic challenge for a new Pakistani government, once it comes into power in the autumn, will be how to boost exports, because that will have to finance the whole boost of the economy. In the GSP Plus, there is a dialogue on many things, on policy issues, on human rights, universal values, and all these things is all part of the dialogue, mutual dialogue that we have in the GSP Plus. We've seen a lot of improvements. There are certainly a lot of challenges where Pakistan still is working to improve the situation within human rights, within other policy areas as well. All those are mentioned in the GSP Plus process. Sometimes we see things that are a little more worrying. Other times we see a steady sort of drive towards a situation where Pakistan improves the situation for its citizens, improves freedoms, improves democracy, improves human rights, and that's all part of the GSP Plus process. It is a process of dialogue, and in return for that we offer preferential treatment in the access to European Union markets.
Excellency, would you like to share that since Denmark is expert in energy sector, and especially about wind energy, and do you see that Denmark can support Pakistan in this sector as well?
Oh, I should think so. As you probably know, Denmark was the first country to really develop wind energy.
Yeah.
And we did so at a time when we had our own crisis, energy crisis. And we made a strategic decision to move to renewable energy. That was 40 years ago, and now we are reaping the benefits. As you probably also know, wind energy is the cheapest energy you can produce in the world. Next is solar, and only after that you have the traditional technologies like coal, oil, natural gas, and so forth. They're much more expensive than wind and solar. And right now we have very advanced solutions that will allow not only cheap energy, but also a steady flow of energy. One of the points of criticism has always been that when wind blows, you have energy. When there's no wind, there's no energy. But the new systems today is called hybrid parks. So you have wind towers mixed with solar panels, mixed with a battery capacity that can store the energy and release it to the net when there's not so much sun, not so much wind. You have complete new solutions today that would be of very, very high benefit to Pakistan. Basically, the energy cost could be lowered quite a lot if you go for renewable energy. That's the good news. And Pakistan has identified some so-called wind corridors. There's the Jampir in Sindh, there's Roshan in Punjab, there's big corridors also in Balochistan. There are big possibilities, 26,000 or so megawatt of possibilities, wind possibilities alone. And that is not even to speak of all the solar possibilities and hydro that Pakistan will have. So in the whole renewable field, there's a lot of opportunities to lower the cost also for the user, the buyer of electricity. And wind energy, it's obvious that it could be a main component into such a system.
And I can understand there are some other areas that Denmark can incorporate with Pakistan, like pharmaceutical, as you mentioned.
Yes. You probably don't know the company, but there is a company called Novo Nordisk, which was the first company in the world more than almost 100 years ago to produce insulin, which is the main medicine against diabetes.
Yeah.
And Pakistan has a big problem in diabetes. I mean, actually, it's 1 in 7 right now that are diabetic, but it could go to 1 in 4 if you talk about people that are diabetic or pre-diabetic or in danger of becoming diabetic. And the whole idea of Novo Nordisk as a company, it was made by doctors, so it's not really a commercial company. It's a company that lives to eradicate diabetes. So this company is now engaging with the government, both at federal level, but in particular in Punjab. In Punjab, there is an action plan to fight diabetes. And Novo Nordisk is now working with the government of Punjab in preventing diabetes, which basically would mean that the company would sell less medicine if you have less diabetes. And the whole thing is, how can you, by small changes to your lifestyle, avoid becoming diabetic? How can you avoid diabetes? So these are the main challenges they're working with the government of Punjab. They even engaged with Wasim Akram, who is one of the greatest cricket players that Pakistan or the world has ever produced. And he was diabetic. When he was 29, he was diabetic, and he continued, and he took almost 300 wickets after becoming diagnosed with diabetes. So it can be done. And through his experiences and sharing his experiences of healthy living and a little healthy food, a little more exercise, a little more healthy food, how much you can actually change in avoiding a lot of diseases, but also in this case diabetes.
So Excellency, coming about the stability in this region, as you mentioned, you are going to have a dialogue about the Afghan situation. And how do you, Denmark see Pakistan's roles in the region and stability in Afghanistan?
Well, basically, we see ourselves as a partner to all sides in the situation here. We've had military troops, we still have military troops in Afghanistan. We've engaged heavily in the development of the country together with the military stabilization of the country. We engage with Pakistan in developing the economy. Basically, if you look at it from a win-win perspective, if there is peace in Afghanistan, then it will be to the benefit of Pakistan as well. It will create a much more stable situation on the borders of Pakistan. It would mean that Pakistan would be able to engage in the real development of the border areas that are now the parts of Pakistan that are still engulfed in instability. So there is a clear benefit of doing this. And if you take the whole regional situation, if the conflicts are resolved in some way or other, Pakistan would be one of the countries that would benefit the most from an opening of the regional markets to India, to Afghanistan, and through that to other parts of the world.
And how do you see the current democratic situation in Pakistan, as you see I guess there's a general election going to be held next month, and it's the second time that democratic government has completed its tenure, and the democratic government situation is improving now. How do you see
we see it as a very positive step. Clearly, as you were mentioning, this is the second time that there will be a political change of power through democratic election. That is very positive. We're looking forward to the elections with great anticipation, as the EU is engaging or has offered an EU election observation mission, which could help Pakistan in certifying that these were proper elections. That could go against any allegations made that are unfounded, and also it could benefit the Pakistani election commission system in giving advice upon the whole process, technical advice on how to improve things on one or the other. So, I mean, we are engaging in support of the Pakistani government in carrying out the elections. We are very much looking forward to the elections. We don't have any opinion on the results of it. That is for the Pakistani electorate. But we look forward also to work with a new government that comes into power as a result of the elections in the aftermath of the 25th of July this year.
There are some observers from EU side, probably they are in Pakistan right now and observing the election, and there are major electoral reforms EU have suggested some sort of. How do you see that?
Well, I mean, actually, the election observation mission is not in Pakistan yet. We still have to. The Pakistani government still has to agree to an agreement on the election observation mission. We are hoping that will come within days, and then the mission will deploy to Pakistan. It will deploy to all parts of Pakistan, or most parts of Pakistan, and basically to be able to observe how the election process is handled. And this is for two things. One, it is for the Pakistani government to be able to go, to confront any allegations of wrongdoing. If the election observation mission will note if there has been wrongdoing, but will also note if there has not been wrongdoing, and also basically to learn how to improve election observation processes or election processes even more. I mean, in my country, we had election processes in 1849. Which was our first democratic election. So it's a process of learning that takes time, and because a lot of people is involved in it. We're not just talking, the people at the government level obviously know exactly what to do, but a lot of people are involved all the way down to the technical level, and for them it's important to have this learning process, to be able to learn from time to time from each election process, how to improve what they are doing at the technical level as well.
And how do you see Pakistanis as a country and as a people, since you are here in Pakistan, and what would be your message for Pakistan?
Well, basically Pakistan is moving in the right direction. I mean, Pakistan, the security in Pakistan has improved. It continues to improve. Obviously there are some issues that is still challenging. There's a lot of extremist groups present in Pakistan. That is one challenge. But terror has gone down, the number of terrorist attacks have gone down, the security in the main cities in Pakistan have improved significantly. There's an opening for economic engagement with Pakistan, which is to the benefit of Pakistan. And there are many opportunities, many possibilities for cultural exchange, for tourism as well, that are slowly being redeveloped. That could offer good, income to Pakistan as a country as well, and also a good exposure to the outside world.
And which areas have you been visited so far since you are in Pakistan, and how do you see the?
I've had the chance and the good benefit of visiting Lahore many times, 8 times in fact, Karachi also 8 times, Faisalabad I visited, and there obviously. If I do go, we go for business, but I do try to go and see something every time. to take a little time off and go and see the Badshahi Mosque.
Have you not been
Or
to
the-
northern areas? It's
I've been
quite
to
beautiful
I've been
areas.
once to Gilgit as well, and that was very, very beautiful. And obviously, it is one of many tourist attractions, you know, in Pakistan of immense beauty and immense value to humankind. In fact,
And how about the cultural relation? Pakistan is rich in cultures and different.
very rich in cultures, and we are working also to try to make more cultural exchanges between our countries. I can give you one example. We have actually a rock band. It's a Danish-Pakistani rock band. It's called Rockawali, and it mixes traditional Pakistani Qawwali music with more modern rock traditions. And you have very famous Pakistani ustad in the Qawwali singing. And we have a Danish, Iranian, a Danish Pakistani, and some Danes that have come together in this band, and they play this fusion music that is trying to melt, you know, the Qawwali tradition together with the rock tradition, and they make beautiful music. And it's very, very popular in Pakistan. Wherever we just had them for a tour 6 months ago, and they were traveling around the country, and you know they were greeted enthusiastically by, in particular, young audiences all over the country. And I think this, you know, way of, you know, having more and more exchange, cultural exchange visits, but also trying to work together and make fusion culture is interesting and very rewarding in the case of Pakistan.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for being with us, and hope to see to develop much rich relation between two countries.
We
Thank
will.
you very much.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.